Hello, this is a quick video about things that are in your blood. If you take a sample of blood from a healthy person, you will find that most of it, about 55%, is plasma. And plasma is mostly water. Water and things dissolved in water. So plasma is the reason that your blood can flow. It's being pumped by your heart and it has to be a fluid to flow. It has some things in it that are not good at flowing without any kind of fluid to carry them. Water is a very important part of your blood, which is why dehydration is such a big deal, or can be such a big deal. In the water, there are dissolved ions, dissolved proteins, which aren't exactly dissolved, but they're small enough that we can pretend, and other things like oxygen, CO2, hormones, sugar, waste products that you're trying to clean up in your kidneys. All those things are in your plasma and they're not nearly as big as a cell or a platelet. We have other things which we call cellular elements, which make up about 45%, the other almost half of your blood. And most of those, this is to give an estimate about how much, this is about 45%, and all of this is about less than 1%. So most of what's in your blood are red blood cells, and red blood cells are important. They carry oxygen using the protein hemoglobin with its iron-containing heme groups in it. They contain oxygen and they carry it through your body, delivering it to your cells where needed. So picking it up, doing external respiration at the lungs, and dropping it off, doing internal respiration at the cells, and again the reverse, picking up waste CO2 and dropping it off at the lungs. Your red blood cells are small. They're about 8 micrometers, 7.5, 8 micrometers across. So 8 micrometers is 8 millionths of a meter, which means you could fit, well, I had an analogy ready, but I forgot it. You could fit a lot of them into a small space. You can, I guess, fill in your own. They look like this. They're called a biconcave disc. The shape is important. And the shape is important because it allows them to bend. They go through capillaries, and capillaries are really narrow. And if the simplest shape that could be is a sphere, if they were spherical, if they got stuck a little bit, they would be completely stuck. Spheres are really good choking hazards. The other thing that's good about the biconcave disc shape, so they can bend and squeeze, that's good. So this is bad. And the other one is, of course, why is anything a weird shape in biology? Big surface area. The surface area of this peanutty cross section is greater than the surface area if this thing were a sphere, given the same volume. You make red blood cells at a rate of, estimates vary, but something like 2 million a minute, in only certain parts of your bone marrow. So in your skull, in your costae, in your rib bones, and mostly along joints, which wasn't always the case. When you were young, you made red blood cells in nearly all of the bones of your body, but you were growing then. You had a greater need. If your red blood cells are the wrong shape, one common thing is have sickle cells, where instead of developing into this shape, you end up with red blood cells that are shaped kind of pointy at one end. And the problem there is that they can catch on the edges of your blood vessels, and instead of flowing through and bending through like a biconcave disc would, they can cause a clog. They can cause it so that blood will not flow past here, which means that you don't get oxygen, sugar, water to all the places downstream that need it. The other main component of your blood are leukocytes and platelets. Platelets have an important role in clotting, so healing up injuries. And leukocytes, white blood cells, we're just going to focus on leukocytes in general in this course, have a job of helping to fight off infection, finding, hunting down, learning to fight back against different pathogens. So your blood is mostly water. Other than that, it's mostly red blood cells that have that unique biconcave disc shape that's helpful, helps them bend and increases their surface area. Other than that, your blood has a tiny component of platelets to help in case you have a bruise or a cut. and a tiny component of white blood cells, which can grow quickly in number if you have an infection. Mostly your white blood cells don't live in your blood, but in your lymph instead.